Do the Liberals believe that access to information is an essential service in Canada?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I failed to understand the question the first time around. Of course, the answer is yes. Access to information is absolutely key in all circumstances, normal circumstances, and absolutely essential in the very emergency circumstances in which we are living currently.
The Liberals are using the coronavirus pandemic to block accountability in every way they possibly can from the few people who are truly trying to hold them account for their spending right now. We know that Justin Trudeau suspended regular sittings of Parliament, relegating the House of Commons to these weird Zoom and half-Zoom committee meetings. Trudeau also doesn't like leaving his hermit mansion at Reid Cottage, where he has been self-isolating for almost 90 days. It's a place where the journalists are friendly and pre-approved, unlike that pesky Keean Bexte. Unless Trudeau is going to mass BLM protests. Then, you know what? Social justice keeps him safe from the coronavirus. Now, you can see how Trudeau's goons strong-armed Keean Bexte and turfed him from a press conference at Reid Cottage. And you can support our fight to get back into those press conferences at letusreport.com. But those coward tactics, they're not the only way the Liberals are skirting accountability. The Liberals are using the pandemic to create a massive backlog in access to information requests. Now, today I'm going to show you a COVID committee hearing question asked by Conservative MP Damien Kurek from Battle River Crowfoot. Kurek's grilling the Liberal president of the Treasury Board, Jean-Yves Duclos. The non-answers here are going to infuriate you. Just watch.
We heard in committee last week that Infrastructure Minister Catherine McKenna refused to reveal whether or not 20,000 projects even exist. And the Information Commissioner has launched an investigation into the government's processing of access to information requests, also known as ATIPs. Why doesn't the government back up their words with action when it comes to ATIPs?
President of the Treasury Board.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Again, I would like to assure all members of this House that access to information is absolutely key to the working of our institutions. It's also absolutely key for Canadians to understand the impact of these important investments we're making to help them go through the crisis.
According to the government's own ATIP website, only 12 departments or agencies out of more than 250 that are subject to the Access to Information Act are currently accepting ATIPs. The question is simple. Was Minister Duclos aware that about 95% of government agencies and departments are not accepting ATIPs during a time when they have nearly doubled government spending and shut down Parliament?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would first like to thank the public servants who are working extremely hard in the context of emergency circumstances, which have big impacts both in their personal and in their professional lives. All the public servants that I know of understand as well that their work is important, not only in terms of the emergency, but also in terms of the transparency of their actions. So I would like to congratulate them and thank them, and I would like to encourage them to do the essential work that they do, and including the work that they do in providing essential information to Canadians.
Yes, those poor federal workers, they're the real heroes here, getting their full paycheck to do their jobs while obviously not. 95% of their work returning access to information requests is being completely set aside at a time when the public needs answers and clarity the most, during this time of record spending and cancelled Parliament. Why do none of the hermit cottage journalists care that this work that could be done easily, remotely, rounding up digitally requested documents and emailing them to requesters, is being stopped because of the pandemic? Just kidding, we know why. These journalists want some of those Trudeau bailout bucks. They don't care about a manufactured backlog of access to information requests using the excuse of the pandemic. For the same reason these journalists just stared at their shoes while the RCMP were busy hauling off my friend Keean Bexte. These journalists want money from Trudeau because no one wants to pay for their product anymore. And they will even write long articles trying to convince us to support their corporate welfare. You just can't trust the bought and paid for mainstream media. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. To support our fight for journalistic access and to see how the RCMP manhandled one of our journalists, Kian Bexty, please go to letusreport.com.